Welcome back to Undisputed.
Thanks for
Welcome.
So good to have you. You know, I watched the documentary, and it's pretty powerful. And I can imagine going into it and just retelling your story in that way. Why was it important to you, and why did you want to tell your story, make this documentary?
Well, originally I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to like revisit those times, and you know, it was kind of emotional. And Johnny Sweet said, "Let's do it. People gonna like it." I'm like, "Why do people want to hear about me? Like, I'm not even relevant. I don't need to do a doc." But we did it, you know, and I mean, they just turned it out, and I cried like 3 times during the doc. I'm like, this is way too much for me. You know, it's crazy, but it's good. Yeah.
So I also watched it start to finish last night, and the reason I finished is that I couldn't stop watching it. And I promise you, if you start, what is it, Friday night?
Yes.
10
10
o'clock,
p.m.
10 Eastern on Showtime.
Showtime.
If you start, you won't be able to stop because it's a compelling story with a happy ending. And I hope you think it was a happy ending because that's how it played to me.
Yeah, it was just crazy, like, having a career like I did and not being in it mentally. And you can see it, like, wow, I really wasn't engaged in the game. And so I really wish I was.
My takeaway from the whole thing, and by the way, you grew up in Queensbridge, and it's I didn't know this, it's the largest housing project in North America. It's 6 blocks. You're 4108 10th Street, right in the middle of it. But from the start, your greatest strength was also your biggest weakness, and it was your temper. Because when you fueled your anger, you were... I remember when I was on the show Cold Pizza on ESPN in 03-04, I was making a case that you had emerged as an MVP candidate that year. That's the year you won Defensive Player of the Year. And you could be, when you chose to be, because you were very unselfish, you could be unstoppable on offense. But lockdown defender, like Kobe said, I'm not sure there's ever been a better one when you were angry with Paul Pierce, whoever it was. You would destroy people. But it also would turn around, and your trigger was your fuse was so short. Then we got Malice in the Palace.
Just very unprofessional, dysfunctional, you know, and then depressed, you know, so many different things. I remember when I was like 22, I would be thinking like 4 different things. I definitely had so much going on in my head, so much frustration. Was not happy.
There was a lot in that.
There was a lot in there when I was younger, you know, luckily. But I was strong enough to identify it and then get help and get help and get help.
Well, you did. And by the way, just quick point of order, I did not know this, but your first year, you were the 15th overall pick in the first round of the draft, and you go to the Bulls in Chicago, Michael Jordan's city, and you get a job part-time at Circuit City, because you didn't trust it. You were still so insecure about, can I really do this? I need a second job, right?
I mean, I definitely wanted a second. You know, I wanted the discount. I never felt, you know, like I never wanted to go back. So I'm always like trying to, and I didn't want to get in trouble. So I wanted to stay active. I wanted to do some positive things because once I have time, then I get in trouble.
Yeah.
You reached out. Why was it so important for you to make amends with the guy that actually threw the beer that started the Malice in the Palace?
It was actually a Diet Coke.
So why was it so important for you to close that chapter in your life?
I mean, that was a huge part of my life where I had an incident or a problem with one guy, and it was huge. And back home, when you have a problem with someone, it usually ends like in somebody getting hurt, somebody getting shot. And I'm like, I don't want my life to be like that. I don't want to hold grudges. It was just a problem. I had a problem with one man, and it's over, fight's over, and I'm cool. Now I gotta make amends with, you know, my teammates and different things like that. But I felt like the John Green one was very important to me.
Just for those who've forgotten, it was November 19, 2004, and there's 20 seconds left in a game. And it's early in the year, and you had gone to war, quote unquote, with those guys the year before and lost in 6 games of one of the most physical playoff series probably in the history of this league. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, the score was 71, like 67. It was all defense.
I think it was 69-65 was the final score.
It could have been.
I believe it was.
Yeah, it could have been.
So now this is the first time you're meeting, and you go to their place, and you kick their behinds. And it's 20 seconds left. And Ben Wallace, you get into it, you fouled him, and then he starts throwing things at you. And again, I'm on your side with this because he's allowed. Ben Wallace is throwing, he's got bands all over him, and he's throwing everything on his body at you, and they're not throwing him out. They're not even giving him techs. So you did what your psychiatrist had advised, just lay down. Lay down. What's the closest place? It's the scorer's table, okay? Which probably didn't sit well with the people in the stands.
Yeah.
Scorer's
To be
table.
winning, and they think I'm
And then the guy who you apologized or you made amends with, John Green, he talked in the he was great in the documentary.
He's great.
Yeah. He said, I got a Diet Coke, and I think, well, I'm going to just throw it up in the air. And he underhanded it, and I think it was the luckiest shot
It was
this
a bet.
side of that
It was a
guy.
$50 bet.
Yeah. Oh, the guy bet with
The guy
right.
bet that I could hit you. He's like, I could do it. He's like, oh, wow. And when the guy said, oh, wow, I owe you $50, you did it. And when I seen his hand, I'm like,
So he did it.
yeah.
You thought
I thought he hit me with the cup.
And John Green didn't even know the kid next to him, and so you go up to lay down the law to that kid, right? And you said in the documentary, I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted to kind of put my hands around him and say, you're not going to get away with that because in Queensbridge, you can't get away with that. That's neighborhood. That's not anger. That's neighborhood. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say.
Yeah.
I feel like nobody would let that happen. You know, I feel like you just can't go around doing that. You see people getting bullied. I don't believe in people should be getting bullied. I used to be bullied when I was young at one point in time. You know, so it's like you get tired of that after a while, and then it stays with you.
I can't
if
imagine
you never addressed it.
How would anybody ever bully you?
When you're a young kid, you get
I don't
bullied.
know. Do you?
But that was your way, but you found a way. It says, I'm not going to get bullied. I'm not going to take this anymore. And you toughened yourself up. You grew into if there's going to be some bullying going on, I'm going to be doing it.
You know who toughened him up was Big Ron, your dad. He took you out and he beat you up on the basketball court, right?
Yeah, he didn't let me get in trouble. I would get spankings when I did anything wrong. Took me on the court and would just it would be brutal games out there with my dad.
So he wasn't letting you win, huh?
No. He would not let me. He's built like you, man. Just hitting me and pushing me. And
when you say that was the best thing that could have happened to you, right?
Yeah, it was weird because him and my mom always was fighting.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, he was in my life. Like, I've seen him every day. When they separated, I seen my dad every day. I can't remember my dad, I never seen my dad.
Right.
So I'm like, I have a little conflict here.
Right.
Yeah.
So to finish the Malice at the Palace, then you go back on the floor and another fan comes right at you, and you say in the doc that if there hadn't been beer on the floor and you could have gotten your feet underneath you, that you were slipping, you might have killed that guy.
Yeah, and Jermaine actually got him, but it was really good for him because I was slipping, so I was about to throw the punch, and then I felt like my foot
go out from under you.
So I had to just throw like a little soft leg because I didn't want to give too much, and I slipped, and this guy starts getting all over me. So, but that was, and he tried to sue us, which was kind of crazy. But it was like a movie in there. Probably better than Game of Thrones.
And then you go in the locker room and you had the infamous line to Steven Jackson. You think we're going to get in trouble for this? And our man Steven Jackson just went, are we going to get, no, we're all going to get, we're going to be lucky to have a job. Right? Okay? And then Jermaine is still upset with you for starting it, and he wants to come at you in the locker room.
Jermaine was mad at me, but he got in a problem with Coach Carla. I think Jermaine was conflicted at that time. Jermaine's just one of the greatest teammates. He always would reach out to me. I never would take him up for lunch or dinner. I was just I wasn't secure in myself at that time. Nobody really knew what I was going through at that time. So I wasn't it seemed like I wasn't a good teammate. I played team basketball on the court.
Right.
You did.
I executed everything.
Yep.
But just go to lunch. Just call you on the phone. How you doing? I never was engaging like that.
Yeah, and Jermaine's quote I wrote down last night was, nobody understood Ron, and I don't think he wanted to be understood at that point.
I was trying to escape I was always trying to escape something, like some memory or some part of their life or what happened yesterday. I wasn't able to say, it'll be okay today.
Was it a specific incident that you were trying to escape, or was it a culmination of your upbringing that you were trying to escape?
I had my baby early at 16. I planned my baby at 16. And then...
You planned it?
I planned my baby, my first. And I knew I always wanted to have kids.
Right.
And I knew I always wanted to be with one woman at once, forever.
Right.
When I got to college, I started experiencing other women.
Right.
I never been with nobody else. So then... right then and there, I had a bad relationship.
Right.
And then that started spiraling. And then on top of my sister's is psychiatric ward, auntie psychiatric ward, brother psychiatric ward. Then my older brother went to jail, 10 years for drug trafficking. it was all crazy for me. And then I just resorted to like, alcohol, marijuana, staying in the hood. And I'm thinking all this is gonna solve problems.
Right.
It's making it worse
Right.
and worse. And then when I was 21, I only had one nervous breakdown. I was in Chicago. I was on the highway driving to the game. Had a nervous breakdown, 21 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Pull over?
Pull over.
Yeah.
Pull over. On my red Hummer, just like screaming, just like, it was crazy. And at that point, I'm like, I really need to get some help.
Normally, when there's a history, like my family has a history of cancer, and so I got treatment, I got checked out early. Did you ever think that, okay, I got a brother, got a sister, got an aunt, I got this one that have mental illness? Did you ever think about going to get yourself checked before it reached that point?
Never did. When I was 13, I went to a social worker, so I was always introduced to it, but I never thought about just getting checked out and, like I do now.
Right.
Or with my nephews, I would tell them to seek help, early.
Right.
Yeah, never thought about that.
So the happy ending comes when Kobe Bryant, of all superstars, passes you the basketball in the closeout game against Boston, and you shoot and make the three, which was pretty gutsy for you to even take the shot, right? You had your man Lamar Odom from your childhood friend. He was open over there, but you stepped right into it. Was it on Pierce? I think it was.
It was.
It was on Paul Pierce, and you made it. It's the clinching three, and then on the court after the game, you thank your neighborhood and your psychiatrist, which is unprecedented for a stand-up interview at the end of a final game, right?
Man, I was just so happy. And you wanted to give credit where credit's due. People think their mom, you think God. And, I remember Game 6, we win. We was down 3-2. We win Game 6. And I remember not talking to the media after the game. I go right to Equinox, the one we go to.
Right.
I was there by 10:10, and I get a lift in, because I didn't want to lift the next day because I didn't want to be tired. So I get the lift in. I'm done by 11. And I woke up the next morning, I had a lot of anxiety. And I remember in Game 6 against Detroit, I get a technical foul, game tied. I get a technical foul. They make 2 free throws, they make another bucket, they up 4. They win by 4 and win the finals. Against Kobe, the year before that, I get an elbow, get ejected. Against Ginobili, against the Spurs.
You did,
get ejected. And I'm like, this cannot happen again.
Right.
And I called my psychologist from Houston. She comes up after shoot around, Game 7, after shoot around. We talk about 12 o'clock, and then I kind of felt better about that day. So I had to thank her.
I know it may have been hard in those moments to tell your story, but truly, it was pretty remarkable.
It is riveting.
To watch.
Thank you.
And everyone's going to want to make sure to check out Quiet
Pleasure.
Storm Friday night on Showtime. Metta, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.